Hello and welcome to another lesson from Level Up Mathematics. In today's lesson, we will be exploring simplifying algebraic expressions using the distributive property. Now, in previous courses, you've probably seen the distributive property at work. And we use the distributive property when we're multiplying a number times a quantity. For example, in our box up here, we have A times the quantity B plus C. And so when we multiply A times the quantity B plus C, we have to multiply the A by each term in the parenthesis. So A times B is AB, and then A times C is AC. Now, we can also use the distributive property if we have subtraction in our parentheses. In this problem, we have A times the quantity B minus C. So A times B is again AB, and A times C is minus AC. All right. In our next example, we have negative A times the quantity B plus C. So negative A times B would be negative AB, and negative A times C is negative AC. Now we want to write this because we don't want to ever leave an algebraic expression with double signs. Here we have plus negative. So negative AB plus negative AC would be the same thing as negative AB minus AC. And then our last example, we have negative A times the quantity B minus C. So negative A times B is negative AB minus the quantity negative A times C would be negative AC. Now again, we never want to leave double signs. So don't do anything to the first term, but minus minus is the same thing as plus AC. All right, now let's look at some examples with monomials. Remember, monomial simply means one term. So in problem A, we're multiplying 5 times 8x. That would just give us 40x. In problem B, 3 times 7y would give us 21y. All right, pause the video and try problem C on your own. All right, welcome back. Let's see how you did. Negative 6 times 2r. Hopefully you got negative 12r. So check your answer with mine. All right, in problem D, we have 10 times 5 over 2x. Now I can cross cancel this. 2 would go into 10 5 times, and 5 times 5x would give me 25x. Problem E, 1/3 times negative 12m. 3 would go into negative 12, negative 4 times, and 1 times negative 4m would be negative 4m. All right, problem F, we have a negative times a negative, so I know my answer is going to be positive. So I just have to say 3 goes into 12 4 times, and 5 times 4k would be 20k. Now, let's look and see what happens when we multiply a constant times a binomial. So in problem A, it says simplify each of the following by using the distributive property to remove the parenthesis. So in problem A, we have 3 times the quantity 2x minus 4. So I want to multiply 3 times the 2x minus 3 times 4. So 3 times 2x is 6x, and 3 times 4 is 12. So 6x minus 12. All right, in problem B, we have negative 6 times 2r, which would be negative 12r, minus negative 6 times 4 would be negative 24. Now, we don't want to leave double signs, and minus minus is the same thing as plus, so our final answer would be negative 12r plus 24. All right. Now, in problem C, it looks like we do not have a constant term to distribute, but this is an understood one. So negative 1 times 3x would be negative 3x minus negative 1 times 4 would be negative 4. Then notice we got double signs, so I need to rewrite this as negative 3x plus 4. All right. In problem D, we have negative 5/3 times negative 12. So a negative times a negative will be a positive. So 3 goes into 12 4 times. And 5 times 4k would be 20k plus. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to multiply negative 5/3 times 21. So 3 goes into 21 7 times. And negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. Now notice we have double signs. So 20k plus negative 35 would be the same thing as 20k minus 35. All right, example 3. Simplify each of the following by using the distributive property to remove the parenthesis and then combine like terms. So in problem A, we have 5 times the quantity x minus 3 plus 2 times the quantity x minus 6. So we'll start with the 5 and we'll multiply it by everything in this parenthesis. So 5 times x would give us 5x. 5 times negative 3 would give us negative 15. In our second parenthesis, we're going to multiply everything by 2. 2 times x would give us positive 2x. And 2 times negative 6 would give us negative 12. So I'll write that as minus 12. Now we're going to combine like terms. So 5x plus 2x gives me 7x. And then I'm going to combine negative 15 with negative 12 to get negative 27. All right, let's try that again. In problem B, we have 4 times the quantity r minus 2 minus 3 times the quantity of r minus 5. Now, when there's a minus between the two parentheses, sometimes it's a little bit easier if you'll write it as an addition problem. So addition of the opposite. So this is the same thing as plus negative 3. So we're distribute a negative 3. All right, so let's start by multiplying the 4 times r minus 2. So 4 times r, 4r. 4 times negative 2 would be negative 8. Negative 3 times r would be negative 3r. And negative 3 times negative 5, positive 15. Now we want to look for any like terms. So we have 4r minus 3r, and that would be 1r. And then we have negative 8 plus 15, and that would give me positive 7, which is the same thing as r plus 7. All right, problem C. We have negative 5 times the quantity x minus 3 minus the quantity x plus 8. So remember, it's easier if you'll put a 1 here. And whenever we have minus, it's easier to change it plus negative before you start. All right, so negative 5 times the x, negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 3, positive 15. Negative 1 times x, negative 1x. Negative 1 times 8, negative 8. All right, let's combine like terms. Negative 5x minus 1x would give us negative 6x. And 15 minus 8 would give me positive 7. All right, pause the video and try problem D on your own. Before you do problem D, though, be sure to change this minus 3 into plus negative 3 before you start. All right, pause the video. All right, right, welcome back. Let's see how you did. 1/2 times 8x is 4x. 1/2 of -10 is -5. Now -3 times x is -3x. And -3 times -4, +12. Check that step with mine. All right. In the next step, you should combine like terms. So 4x minus 3x gives you 1x. And then -5 -5 plus 12 gives you +7. On problem E, I want to talk about a very common problem. We have 8 plus 3 times the quantity, 2x plus 4. A lot of people are tempted to add the 8 and the 3 together and say 8 plus 3 is 11 times 2x plus 4. Do not be that person, okay? Because in the order of operations, we always multiply before we add. So that means we cannot add the 8 and 3 together as our first step. We need to, our first step needs to be to multiply the 3 times the quantity 2x plus 4. So bring down the 8, then multiply 3 times 2x, which would give you 6x, and 3 times 4, which would give you 12. Now combine like terms. There's nothing to combine the 6x with. And then if I combine 8 plus 12, I will get +20. All right, pause the video and try problem F on your own. All right, welcome back. Let's see how you did. The first thing I did was I brought the 12 down, and then I multiplied -2 by everything in this parenthesis because I rewrote this as plus -2. So -2 times 4x, -8x. -2 times -3, +6. Now, there's nothing to combine the -8x with, so I just wrote that down. And then I combined the 12 plus the 6 to get +18. So check your answer with mine and fix anything that you might have gotten incorrect. And that concludes today's lesson on the distributive property.